Fear is often seen as an enemy, something to avoid at all costs. But what if fear is actually one of your greatest allies? Imagine the possibilities if you could channel fear into a driving force for growth and success. This isn't about ignoring fear or pretending it doesn't exist. It's about using it as fuel to push forward, to reach levels of potential you never thought possible. You'll want to stay tuned because the strategies we're diving into in this video are not the surface-level advice you'll find elsewhere. They're rooted in a deep understanding of psychology and real-world application. If that sounds like the kind of value you're looking for, consider subscribing now. Future videos will explore topics just as unique, giving you the tools you need to level up in every area of your life. Fear is an instinct, and like all instincts, it's meant to protect you. But modern life isn't the wild jungle our ancestors faced, where fear often meant the difference between survival and death. Today, fear shows up in less dramatic but equally paralyzing ways. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of stepping outside your comfort zone. These fears can feel just as overwhelming, but they don't have to hold you back. In fact, they can do the opposite. By understanding the mechanics of fear, you can transform it into motivation. Fear releases adrenaline, sharpens focus, and forces you to confront what matters most. When harnessed correctly, it can be a catalyst for action. Think about the last time fear stopped you. Maybe it was before a presentation, a tough conversation, or a big decision. The truth is, the fear you felt was never about the event itself, it was about the potential outcome. What if you failed? What if you looked foolish? What if it didn't work out? These are the questions fear asks, and answering them can change everything. When you face the what-ifs head-on, you reclaim power over them. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen and can I handle it? More often than not, the answer is yes. One of the most overlooked ways to use fear is to reframe it as a signal for growth. If you're scared, it likely means you're on the edge of something meaningful. Fear has a funny way of pointing directly at the areas where we have the most room to grow. Let's say you're terrified of public speaking. Instead of avoiding it, recognize that this fear is an opportunity to build confidence and communication skills that will benefit you for years to come. Every time you step into discomfort, you expand your capacity for resilience. Studies show that the body's physiological response to fear is almost identical to its response to excitement. The racing heart, the quickened breath, it's nearly the same physical state. The difference lies in how we interpret it. By consciously telling yourself, I'm excited, instead of I'm scared, you can shift your mindset and tap into the energy fear provides. This is a technique used by elite athletes, performers, and entrepreneurs who operate under high pressure. Fear thrives on the unknown, so the more you can clarify and control a situation, the less intimidating it becomes. For example, if you're afraid to start a new business, focus on the first small action you can take, like researching your market or drafting a business plan. Each step you take builds momentum, and that momentum diminishes fear. Instead of imagining worst-case scenarios, visualize yourself succeeding. See every detail of what that success looks like and feels like. Studies have shown that the brain doesn't distinguish much between imagined and real experiences, so this kind of mental rehearsal primes you for positive outcomes. Microdosing fear involves deliberately exposing yourself to small doses of fear-inducing situations to build resilience. For instance, if networking events make you nervous, start by attending smaller gatherings where the stakes feel lower. As you become more comfortable, gradually increase the intensity. This incremental exposure rewires your brain, teaching it that fear doesn't equal danger. Over time, you'll find that situations that once seemed overwhelming no longer carry the same weight. Preparation eliminates much of the uncertainty fear thrives on. If you're afraid of a job interview, spend time rehearsing your answers to common questions, researching the company, and visualizing yourself succeeding in the interview. The more prepared you are, the less room fear has to thrive. Preparation isn't just about logistics, it's about building self-belief. When you know you've done the work, you trust yourself to rise to the occasion. Social media bombards us with images of other people's success, making our own challenges feel insurmountable in comparison. Fear of judgment or failure often stems from placing too much emphasis on external validation. Shift the focus inward. Define success on your own terms and measure progress against your own benchmarks, not someone else's highlight reel. This perspective shift is liberating and allows you to approach fear from a place of self-empowerment rather than self-doubt. Fear forces you to think outside the box and consider options you might not have otherwise. Many of the world's greatest innovations were born out of fear, fear of failure, fear of irrelevance, or fear of stagnation. Embrace this creative potential by asking yourself, how can I turn this fear into an opportunity? The answers might surprise you. Fear is often amplified by negative surroundings. If you're surrounded by people who feed into your insecurities, your fear will only grow. Conversely, placing yourself in a supportive environment can make all the difference. Seek out communities or individuals who encourage you to take risks and celebrate your efforts regardless of the outcome. Surrounding yourself with positivity doesn't eliminate fear, but it makes it easier to face. Gratitude flips the script of fear. By intentionally focusing on what you're thankful for, you shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance. This doesn't mean ignoring your fear, it means approaching it from a place of strength. Gratitude grounds you in the present moment, making it easier to take the next step without being paralyzed by what-ifs. Often we fear failure because we equate it with a loss of self-worth. But here's the thing, failure doesn't define you. It's a temporary state, not a permanent label. The more you detach your identity from your outcomes, the less power fear has over you. Instead of thinking, I failed, think, I tried, and now I know what to do differently. This subtle shift in language reinforces a growth mindset and reduces the sting of setbacks. Self-compassion recognizes that fear is a natural response and that you're doing the best you can in the moment. Self-compassion doesn't mean letting yourself off the hook, it means acknowledging your humanity. This creates a safe internal environment where you can confront fear without judgment. Fear of rejection stings, but rejection is also a sign that you're putting yourself out there. Instead of fearing rejection, reframe it as evidence of courage. Every no brings you closer to a yes, and each experience builds resilience. Remember, rejection isn't personal. It's often a reflection of circumstances or preferences beyond your control. Perfectionism creates an all-or-nothing mindset where anything less than perfect feels like a failure. Progress matters more than perfection. By lowering the stakes, you free yourself to take action. When you fear something, it's often because it matters deeply to you. Fear highlights your values and priorities, showing you what's worth fighting for. Instead of resenting fear, respect it. Use it as a guide to identify what's truly important in your life. This perspective shift can transform fear from an obstacle into a compass. Facing fear takes courage, and every step you take deserves recognition. Celebrating your progress reinforces positive behavior and builds momentum. It's easy to focus on what's still ahead, but taking time to acknowledge how far you've come can fuel your motivation to keep going. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of the game. Most people let fear dictate their lives without ever questioning it. But you're here, looking for ways to rise above it. That mindset alone sets you apart. If you're ready to keep exploring ideas that challenge the status quo, click the link in the description for something that can help you on your journey. It's not about quick fixes or shortcuts. It's about building a foundation for lasting success. Stay tuned for more content that inspires and equips you to conquer whatever comes next.